Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us again on another episode of our show, the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. I'm your host, as always, Justin Allen Hayes, and we are grateful and humbled for you to join us on this episode. We've already pushed through episode 260, uh, which seems just like yesterday. Um, we hit the number 200 total in studio and out of studio shows. Uh, so it is very incredible. Uh, and thank you for tuning in, whether you're watching, whether you're listening, whether you're here in the United States or whether you are at any other point across the world. We value you. We value your time, and we just can't get over how uh, how successful, how many people, how many organizations uh, are interested in Voices for Voices. Really, it's a godsend to be here with you uh, as we have in all past episodes and all future episodes. So thank you for being with us. Today was a scorcher. Anybody who uh, is in a good part of the United States had a pretty pretty hot day. Well, actually, we've had uh, probably this last week's been uh, one of the hottest that I can remember. Uh, Not only on the uh, degrees Fahrenheit or Celsius, however you want to look at it, but also on the humidity scale. Just been just like step out of wherever you're at, and it automatically have a pretty good sweat going. Uh, but to see sunshine and blue sky, knowing that Jesus is looking down uh, on all of us, knowing that my dad he's watching down, and he's never he's never gonna miss an event, a game, uh, a show, whatever comes in the way of life. And very very emotional, very sad that he's in heaven watching over us. But again, it's not my will to be done. God's His will, what He wants me to do, what He wants all of us to do on earth. We have some, if any, control over um, how things go, whether they go well, whether they don't, whether we uh, need somebody to help our career, whether we don't, whether we go through a great season or seasons, or whether we go through uh, seasons that can have a lot more positive way to go. And finding that introspection to come to that realization, I don't know. I mean, if you're anything like me, uh, it's it, it's hard to really put all this into words and put it into context, right? We want to do the right thing. We want to be ethical. We want to be moral as much as we can, understanding that uh, Jesus is the sinless one, not me, not you, not anybody here on earth. And so then we get to the next point of, well, if I don't have a whole lot of control or I'm not able to impact events, whether it's a ball game, whether that is uh, whatever that may be, then what am I doing here? What 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 uh what am I doing here? Why am I here? Why should I continue to be? I mean, I think we're all optimistic, so it's not, why should I be optimistic? It's just getting that understanding that no matter how much I may want something, that the Lord above, it's what He wants me to do, what He wants me to experience. And could it be riches? Could it be, I don't know, really, you throw anything in there. It might be, but I think there's more to it because we like to just remind myself that, as my one cousin says, that you can go to Graceland, or Elvis Presley hailed from, and you can see all of his things, his stuff. However, the one thing we don't find is Elvis Presley himself. And so whether that's a car, whether that's a house, whether that's a signed picture, uh, a musical instrument, pen, what whatever was important in in this case Elvis's life, and how he accumulated different pieces of wealth that you can go to his house. You can see his things. Probably can see pictures of him. But there's one thing that we're not going to find there, and that's Elvis Presley himself. So I bring the conversation back to me, to Voices for Voices. no matter what, no matter what I think, no matter what I want, and it's hard to get to this point. There's really not one part of life that is really easy. Now you may hear a song here and there that talks about something being easy, but it's not. And we don't get to take these things, these mementos, individuals who have been able to earn Olympic medals, gold, silver, bronze over the time that the Olympics got kicked off in Greece many years ago. When they pass, they're not going to show up to heaven's gates with all their gold medals or silver medals or bronze medals or any of that. So when I say I think there's more to it, more to life, more to try to understand and more to be able to put our put our lives into God's hands. And you don't have to be religious. I am, but you don't have to be, and you could follow uh, a different religion. So again, I can only speak for me, and so knowing that I don't get to I don't get to decide unilaterally what tomorrow is going to hold, or the next day, or the next evening, or the next morning. As much as I want to, and one of the things we always look at is the weather. I mean, we look at whether we have our phones, whatever weather app that we have that we look at to see what tomorrow morning, what tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. We try to prepare if we have something that we want to do outside, having having time where there's not rain or snow or uh, storms and that and so we look at it from that angle, and then we also look at it from, as I mentioned at the outset, about we've had some scorchers. Just basically means we've had some not only warm weather, we've had high levels of humidity as well. And so when we look at the weather for tomorrow, that's one of the things that we look at. But we don't get to decide what the weather is. We don't get to decide if there's a last minute storm that pops up and for how long, and if that's going to interrupt whatever activity or activities that we have planned. Somebody else is making those decisions. And it's not me, and it's not you. And so that's one way, by putting ourselves, our interests, in whomever's hands you want. I want to put them in God and in Jesus' hand, because at the end of the day, to he's much closer to being able to predict the weather than I am. Just plain and simple. We can think that he creates the weather conditions and that, or we don't have to think that. But just in a just kind of thinking maybe like organizationally wise is an intern, excuse me, an intern, somebody that is just starting their career, versus, the president or CEO. Well, the president and CEO is gonna have a lot more impact and a lot more influence on what products and services come out, when they come out, what they're priced at, who we partner with, where we get our materials from, than somebody who's at the outset of their career. And I've been there. Come out of school, I'm gonna change the world. My ideas are gonna be listened to and executed upon. Nuh-uh, not even close. And so, in a little bit of a parallel, as a person that has have had or trust issues and at differing points, those times in the workforce where I'm the new person on the block, they weren't, the organizations weren't looking for me as the savior, because I'm not. None of us are. They looked at me as a resource, somebody to do different jobs, different calculations, different research. But not one time was I in that position where I was able to unilaterally make those decisions and execute against them. So much of the same way, whether we like the weather, or if we're playing a sporting event and we want to do well, and however that's measured, if it's the amount of points, if it's the amount of hits, if it's the amount of aces, if it's the amount of strikes, whatever sport we're thinking about. Oh, we can practice, yeah. And by practicing, the more we practice, the better chances we have of doing good or on that level that we think we should be at. But even that's not a foolproof method. So again, we can't do anything really on our own. We could say, "Oh, Justin, well, I can brush my teeth, or I can eat this piece of pizza, or whatever that is." I'm talking about like the big stuff. And so that's where having to level set myself, level set really anybody that I interact with, and it's hard to do. That as much as we have goals, we have aspirations, we're gonna achieve some of them. Oh yeah, we already have. But there's gonna be some we're not. Some we're gonna get close to, some we're gonna be far, far away from. And so when I think about where I was 20, 25 years, well, yeah, 25 years ago, 20 years ago, to where I'm now, I'm much more at peace. Doesn't mean I'm at peace. I'm much more in that direction. And instead of focusing on accolades and achievements, awards, whatever you want to think of, all that's nice. It's nice to be recognized. Don't get me wrong. But right here, right now, for me, for myself, for voices, having one less person suffer and one less person feel alone and one less person feel like they can't step out from the shadows of whatever that may be. To me, that's way more important because I'm not going to be able to take any medals, any trophies with me. Nobody is. And so having that emotional connection, but yeah, you know what? I did what I can, did what I could. I helped somebody. I helped expose negative, helped expose things that are not. are not and should not be acceptable in society. And so there's easy things and there's hard things. It'd be much easier to not expose, not bring to the United States attention or the whole world's attention. Again, I'm in this to help people. I'm in this not to hurt people. And one less person that has to feel hurt, be hurt at this stage for me means a heck of a lot more than a trophy. Because as much as some of us want to put a value, a number on how much a human being is worth, we really can't. It's not up to us to really decide that. If anybody can and wants to decide, that's God or your religion, your uh, who you follow. Now we can say, athlete. Well, this athlete for this particular sport, for this particular team, signed a contract worth X amount of dollars over X amount of years, or over Y amount of years, and that's in a way putting a value on an individual, but not as an overall person. It's an athlete with certain experience and certain statistics, and there's, like it or not, some type of a comparison of, why was this player drafted at number one versus this other player was drafted at number 100. I'm just talking about the worth of a human being. And for me to have the mindset that I can't control a whole heck of a lot here on Earth, I can't impact a whole heck of a lot. Now, I may try, I may aspire, and that's what makes life really so hard because when we're not getting trophies, we're not getting awards, when we're not, being called onto the stage to give a statement or to give a speech, we can feel crappy. We can feel like nobody cares, nobody's interested in us, nobody's interested in what we do. And I think that that makes things much, much, much harder. And so for what we do at Voices for Voices and for myself, it takes all the more faith, all the more mental strength, believing in a power above me. And so that gives me some solace. And some of these things we can't put a lot of value on. Well, helping one person, how much is that worth? I mean, we can try to put some numbers around that. But again, it's not really up for us to decide. It's really I was given two decisions, or no, I was given one decision to try to do good or to not care if something bad happens. And being like, you know what? My hands are clean, so you are strong. You are brave. You are beautiful. You are enough. And your life is worth living. We'll see you on the next show. Thank you so much for joining us today. Bye bye.